Okay, so this is probably one of my most favorite bikes of all time, and I want to go through why. But this is a 2017 KLX140G. This is the full-size bike. It's got the 18-inch rear and the 21-inch front. The newer version of this is the KLX140F. Same bike, same wheel size. Now the plastic that's on here says KLX140 RL. That is incorrect. That is off of an RL. The RL is a 16-inch rear, 19-inch front. So this is a full-size trail bike. They come stock at 140cc. They're lean from the factory. There were some jetting issues originally when this was new. I tried to jet out some of the stutter and stuff, and I kind of had a hard problem with it. And I mean, you could drive this bike bone stock and be happy with it. These are phenomenal trail bikes, and you know, I have a couple of really nice KTMs sitting at home. But you know, sometimes I come out and I choose to ride this 140, which is actually a 170. We'll get into that, but this is just a really fun bike, especially for technical trail riding. They're cheap. They don't cost a lot. You can throw them around pretty easy. I think this is like in the 225-ish range as far as weight. So if you're an older guy that used to race and you want to just go out and ride some trails, you want a cheap bike to have some fun on, this is perfect. If you want to get something for your kid, this is a great platform to start on. I think it's better than the CRF 230F and the TTR 230, and I'll get into that later. This bike has the TB Parts big bore kit. It's a 170 kit. It has a cam that comes in the kit, BBR exhaust, and it's either the VM or the VM24 or the VM26 carburetor. I can't remember which one. It's whatever one comes in the kit from TB Parts. And the reason that I chose the TB Part kit over the SX Parts kit, you know what, let's fire this thing up and go ride it and we'll talk about it. So the TB Parts kit still keeps the trail manageability of this bike. If you want to buy one of these and you want to go ride track with it, then you're going to want to get the SX Parts kit. The SX Parts kit moves the power band way up in the range, and it takes away some of the low-end grunt. With the TB Parts kit, you're still keeping it as a trail bike. You're just adding more low-end, more mid, and more top-end. Same thing with the fork springs I put on here are the TB Parts springs. When I tried the BBR springs, I had to use one stiff and one stock because the BBR springs are more of a track spring, I think, in my opinion. So if you're trail riding, I think it's best to buy the TB Parts. So this motor, the big bore kit has at least 53 hours. The hour meter stopped at 53 hours, and that was probably 5 rides ago, so there's probably closer to 65, 70 hours on this big bore kit. I went one size down on the jetting from what TB Parts recommended, and I have not had the carburetor off since. I ride it in the summer, in the spring, in the fall. I've had it out on the ice with studded tires, and this jetting works phenomenal with this bike. I don't get any bogging or stalling or richness, leanness, none of that. This carburetor on this kit that they sell you, I think it's about $450. It's a great kit. It pretty much just works out of the box. My recommendation to anybody is always the gear is to buy the KLX140 RF or G, the full-size bike, because you can always take the full-size bike and put smaller wheels on it. What you can't do is take the small bike and put larger wheels on it. You have to change the swing arm, the kickstand is different, the brake line length is different, there's a bunch of stuff you got to change, even the part numbers are different. And I'm not saying it can't be done. I know that there are people that have done it successfully, and that's fine. But I had, and still have, plenty of power on this bike. I have another KLX140, an RL that's a 1619 bike that's pretty much stock, and I had considered trying to put full-size wheels on that, and when I looked into it, it was cheaper to just buy a full-size bike and then and build it from there. So if you're going to buy a KLX140, get a G or an RF. Get the full-size bike. You can put smaller wheels on it to start, and then upgrade if it's not, you know, once you get better. Yeah, so at least 50 hours. Bike's been running phenomenal. All I've been doing is changing the oil in the air filter as needed. Woo! You can get these bikes for about $25,000 to $3,000 used, and even after the springs and the big bore kit and everything, I mean, geez, you're looking $3,000, and they will climb up just about anything. What I wanted to get to is other bikes that are out on the market, like the CRF 230F, the TTR 230. Those are phenomenal bikes. I love them. I've owned multiple 230s and serviced a ton more. What this offers over the 230 is less weight. That would probably be the biggest difference. Woo! Coming in hot. The second biggest thing is that this bike is lighter than the 230, any of the 230s by a lot of times it's going to be between 20 and 30 pounds, which a lot of that weight is up high. So even though this bike is only, 20, 30 pounds lighter than a 230, it feels like it's significantly lighter. Another big difference, why I think this is, so I think once you get the big bore kit and the carb and the cam, and you get one of these all dialed in, I think this is a better bike than a TTR 230 or a CRF 230 or KLX 230 because of the weight, and also disc brake is huge, especially if you start riding fast and you get it, the TTR 230 and CRF 230 have a drum brake. Old school technology, works great. It's fine until you get them wet, and then you can get brake fade. They just don't work as well. Okay, third thing is going to be cost. So if you're going to go out and buy a trail bike like this and you want to leave it bone stock, absolutely get a 230. Get a CRF 230 or a TTR 230. But if you're going to mod it, I think this is the chassis and the platform to go with. So yeah, is my KTM 300 faster around this track? Absolutely. Is it funner? Sure. Is it $8,000 funner? No, it's not $8,000 funner. So if everybody that I rode with just rode these, I'd be completely content. Woo! I love this cam and this motor because it's got good power, but it doesn't fall on its face. it revs out nice. I've had this bike for, I want to say this is my second season now. Might even be third. But these little KLX140s are fun, stock, and when you start modding them, man, are they a fun project, fun bike to ride. 50 hours on this TB parts kit. Love it. It doesn't smoke, it doesn't knock. I haven't done anything to this bike other than oil changes and air filters, and super fun bike to own. Doesn't cost you a lot of money. If you're thinking about, the reason I made this video is because I wish I could have found something like this when I wanted to build a KLX140, because I didn't really know these bikes existed much. So I'm going to do some more riding, and if I think of some more positives and or negatives I don't like, I'll pop in with them. And yeah, if you get a chance to snag one of these things up, I mean, I don't work at any dealerships, I don't get any kickbacks on YouTube or Amazon or anything. I just, when I find something I really like, I just want to share it with other people. So anyway, I'm going to go have some more fun on this thing. Thanks for watching. You know, I got one more thing I forgot to mention about why I like this chassis, and it is that twin spar frame. So the frame splits here and it goes around the engine, which means when you pull the gas tank off, it's really easy to get the cylinder off. On a CRF230F, if you want to do a big bore kit on it, you got to pull a whole motor out of the chassis. So it's just another plus of this chassis that I like. And I abuse the clutch on this thing a little bit, but I have a spare clutch in the garage because it's like 30 bucks for an entire spare clutch pack. I mean, for that price, rod the hell out of it. Who cares? So for beginners, seasoned riders, maybe you just want to go buy something new and have a fun project to build, have something new to ride around on. These bikes are super fun, super cheap. I mean, you can run cheap oil in them. They don't even run O-ring chains. Chains are cheap. They don't make any power, so tires don't wear out very fast. With the high compression of this big bore kit, it does sometimes get stuck at TDC if you stall it on something. You know, you go to hit the starter button, it doesn't want to crank over, it's stuck at top dead center. It's too much compression for the stock starter, and I'd say it happens maybe 1 out of every 10 or 15 starts, but it's not a big deal because you only have to wait about 1.5 seconds for the compression to bleed off, and then it'll pop right off. One thing I don't think I mentioned earlier is for more of the rocky riding like this, this isn't too rocky right here, but there are some pretty rocky sections on this trail, and ground clearance is a big thing, especially with smaller bikes that don't have the ground clearance of the full-size Euro bikes. And the KLX140G or RF has more clearance than both the TTR230 and the CRF230. That much I know for sure. Alright, so I did think of a couple things that went wrong during the big bore kit install. First off, one of the intake bolts that hold the intake to the head broke off when I went to take it out. So the manufacturer had used non-removable Loctite or heat-only Loctite on the intake bolts, which was definitely a mistake on their end. But other people have done it. So when you go to do this big bore kit, make sure you heat up the intake bolts with a torch. You don't want to get them too hot, but just heat them up a little bit and really be easy when you're taking those intake bolts out. Alright, so as far as the headlight tail light goes, that is just a cheap Amazon Polysport knockoff. That's rubber mounted. I think it was like 20 bucks on Amazon or something. It's a nice looking headlight for the price. I got a little tail light back here in case I want to throw my license plate on there and go cruising down the road. And that's all controlled just by a little $7 switch here I got on Amazon. The switch is wired directly to the battery, so I did not change or modify any of the stock wiring. I wanted to leave that all stock so that when the next owner gets it, it's not a boogered up mess. So now I'm just idling. So like you can hear it's still a trail bike. Even with the cam and the big bore kit, it's still a trail bike. It's still got that old school 2-valve